Thank you very much. There was a time in my life when I decided that I wanted to be a newspaper cartoonist, like Garfield or Calvin and Hobbes. And you're probably thinking that's a very nice dream for a kid, but I was 20, a bit of a late bloomer. The only problem with my new career path was I didn't know how to draw. Part of a problem for a newspaper cartoonist. So I had taken art classes in high school, as most of us did. I remember one class, our teacher had us draw a cow. She even put a picture of a cow on the screen in case we forgot what a cow looked like. And she asked us to recreate it as best as we could. And so I really studied that cow. And if you've ever looked at a cow closely before, you'll know they look kind of weird. They have strange bumps and ridges and lines and all these things. I was determined I was going to make a really good cow. So I did it, and I was pretty proud of myself, and I handed it in. Got it back a few days later with a note on it. It said, "Kyle, the purpose of this exercise was to draw a cow." I got that part, but she said, "So why did you draw this picture of a three-humped camel?" Apparently, I had morphed my cow into a bit of a freak. But that's okay. I also love Pictionary. My whole family loves Pictionary, which is strange because we're all terrible artists, but we all love to play. And I usually draw stick people because that's all I can draw. And my family's on the other side guessing hieroglyphics, which is obviously not it. But I'm just a terrible artist. I would say that my art would make Stone Age cave paintings look like the roof of the Sistine Chapel. It's terrible. And this is usually the part where I would stand up and say, you know what? Thanks to hard work and dedication, I learned how to draw. And I became an accomplished artist, right? And you cheer and applaud and be inspired. And that didn't happen. I'm still a terrible artist. I can't even draw a symmetrical smiley face. I was going to bring some slides of some of my artwork and thought I would die of shame. So that didn't happen. But even though I never learned how to draw, I learned three very important lessons from my brief stint as a wannabe newspaper cartoonist. The first one is that I will never be a newspaper cartoonist. I'm still heartbroken, but I'm working through it day by day. The other thing I learned was that creativity comes in many different forms. So I can't draw, but I can do a lot of other things that are equally creative. The third thing I learned, though, is what I want to talk with you guys about today. And that's that your imagination is one of your most valuable yet most undervalued assets. Let me give you an example. Elon Musk is a pretty famous entrepreneur. He's one of the founders of PayPal, co-founder and CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, a bunch of other business ventures. And his success comes primarily from his ability to tap into the power of his imagination. As a kid, Elon Musk would devour science fiction novels. He loved them. And today he credits those books with sparking a lifelong passion for science and technology. But that also sparked a lifelong imagination that dared to dream wild enough that he could create entire industries out of thin air. See, his success was tied to his ability to be imaginative and creative, because imagination is fundamental to innovation. I'm going to repeat that because it's important. Imagination is fundamental to innovation. There are thousands of imaginative innovators just like Elon Musk. There's Albert Einstein. One of his biographers said that Einstein's genius came from his ability to be imaginative and creative. Steve Jobs is another one. Before he co-founded Apple, he was an arts college dropout, but he turned technology into an art form. There's a common misconception in our world today that imagination and creativity have no real world value. This is why you'll see in the United States, public funding for arts programs has dropped by 70% since 1980. In our schools today, we label arts and humanities programs as non-essential subjects, and they're the first to go when there's a budget cut. Our society has deprioritized imagination and creativity. This is a bad thing because, like we said, imagination is fundamental to innovation, but also creativity is crucial to our economy and to scientific advancement. The difference between creative thinkers and non-creative thinkers is the difference between visionaries and realists. See, realists maintain the status quo, but visionaries are creative thinkers, are the ones who change the world. So why is it that we deprioritize imagination and creativity? There's a few reasons, but I wanted to focus on two today. The first is that we're scared of failure. See, realism redefines success as the absence of failure. It's why we put our kids into sports programs that don't keep score, so they don't know what it's like to fail. It's why in our schools, if a kid is failing a grade, we still push them forward to the next grade because we don't want them to know what it's like to fail. But creativity embraces failure. See, to a creative person, failure is a learning tool. Pixar Studios is one of the most creative organizations on the planet. And they have a policy where all their employees are encouraged to take risks without fear of consequences if they fail. So if you're taking risks at Pixar and it doesn't work out and you land on your butt, they don't care because you tried. And that's all that really matters, because risk takers are the ones who change the world. The second reason why we deprioritize imagination and creativity is because we fear the unknown. Realism loves to know what's going on. It's why we love math. Right? Math, 2 + 2 = 4 every single time. I think. I wasn't a math student in school. But in science, we love science too, because if you add hydrogen and oxygen, you will get an explosion. Right? I learned that in chemistry, I think. We love these things because we know what's going to happen. Creativity doesn't work like that. See, creativity thrives off of unpredictability. Edwin Catmull was the CEO of Pixar, and he says in his book, Creativity, Inc., that the unpredictable is the ground on which creativity occurs. Creativity thrives off of unpredictability, and that scares a very secure society. Now, the effects of the systemic deprioritization are widespread. Since 1980, the number of new businesses started in North America has dropped by 50%. There are half the number of new businesses being started today as there were 37 years ago. Of the new businesses being started today, only 16% of them are being started by millennials. That's my generation. I live in a generation of employees, not entrepreneurs. And I believe that's in part because we've deprioritized creativity. So as a society, as a collective group in this room, we need to foster imagination and creativity in our young people so that they can succeed and so that our world can succeed. Today I'm going to give you guys 5 ways to foster imagination and creativity in young people, but really in anybody. The first way is through mentorship. Mentorship. We need to connect. First of all, we need to identify creative people and creative qualities in our kids, and we need to connect them with mentors. And if you are a creative person, it's being a mentor. See, we need to help kids, because a mentor will help them grow. We'll build on their strengths and strengthen their weaknesses. We need mentors. See, you may have heard of a guy by the name of Mark Zuckerberg. He is the founder and CEO of Facebook. And he learned early on in his career the value of mentorship. See, as Facebook was taking off, Mark Zuckerberg realized there were a lot of things he didn't know about business, about even computers. And so what he did was he sought out people who were smarter, wiser, and had more experience than he did. And he asked them to be mentors. And you know what they did? They came on board, someone came on staff, and they mentored him. And they helped him grow Facebook into the international phenomenon that it is today through the power of mentorship. The second way to foster imagination and creativity is through collaboration. We need to teach our kids to collaborate. I was going to break into a 90s song here, but I decided not to. But we need to teach our kids how to exchange ideas, how to give and accept feedback, how to work together on a team for a common goal. These are important life skills, but they're important for developing creativity as well. I'm going to talk about Pixar again because they're pretty awesome. They actually are probably the epitome of what a creative organization should look like. At Pixar, they have every single project that they work on, whether it's a full-length feature film or an animated short, goes through what's called the Brain Trust. The Brain Trust is a group of men and women from all sorts of backgrounds who are high up at Pixar, and they take every single project and they scrutinize it. They go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and they provide feedback, ideas, suggestions, encouragements, creative criticisms. And then the directors and producers, they take that information, and they go back and they work on their project some more, and they work on it, and then they bring it back to Pixar, to the Brain Trust, and they continually do this over and over and over again from first inception to the final product, and finally they say, it's perfect. And Ed Catmull, the CEO, he credits the Brain Trust with Pixar's success because collaboration is key to bringing out creativity in people. So we foster imagination and creativity through mentorship, through collaboration. The third way is encouraging experimentation. We need to encourage our kids to experiment, to try new things, to work on existing things and try to make them better. Experimentation is, in its very nature, creative because it challenges the status quo and opens the world to new ideas. In the early 2000s, Apple Computers was in trouble. They were having a hard time keeping up with their rivals and their competitors. And so Steve Jobs, who was the president of the company at the time, decided that they needed to create a product that would help them outrun their competitors. And so he decided that product was going to be the new version of the MP3 player. For those of you who still use Walkman, an MP3 player is a digital music player. Or I guess if you were born in the 2000s, you might not know what an MP3 player is either. This is before iPod. So Jobs gave this project to a man by the name of John Rubinstein, who was one of the vice presidents of Apple at the time. And Rubinstein and his team began to experiment with existing MP3 technology. And with that, they created a new technology and experimented with the new technology until they produced the iPod. And then they experimented with the iPod until they produced the iPhone and the iPad and an entire industry of mobile technology. Because experimentation helps you discover things in your imagination. So we can foster imagination and creativity through mentorship, collaboration, experimentation. The fourth way is through creative thinking. We need to teach our kids to think creatively, think crazy, creative, out-of-the-box ideas. So when our kids are faced with tough decisions, rather than making those decisions for them or working through it for them, let them think about it. Let them come up with their own creative, crazy, out-of-the-box solution to a problem. Because through that, they will learn how to think outside the box. They'll learn to think of things that people would never imagine, and that's an important life skill. Sarah Blakely is not a household name, but she probably should be. Sarah Blakely is the inventor of Spanx. For those of you who don't know what those are, like me, Spanx is a shape-forming, I think it's a term, women's undergarment. The best way that I can put it. I didn't bring a slide. But it started when she was 29, and she realized that, and she had a problem. She couldn't make her butt look good in white pants. I've never had that problem. I don't own a pair of white pants. The front row is all thinking about my butt in white pants now, no? So you're welcome. I'm watching you. Eyes are up here. Oh, man. I can't believe I said that. Okay, moving on. So Sarah Blakely had a problem. And she decided that, you know what, there's no solution in the market, so I'm going to create my own. So she created what became Spanx. She began to sell them, and 12 years later, at the age of 41, Sarah Blakely became a billionaire. In fact, she's the youngest self-made billionaire in the world. And it all started with a crazy, creative, out-of-the-box idea. So we need to teach and foster imagination and creativity through mentorship, collaboration, experimentation, creative thinking, and finally, being open to change. Change is scary. For good reason. You don't know what's coming, right? It's the fear of the unknown. It goes against every human instinct to be excited about change. But change is inevitable. It's happening. It doesn't have to be scary. See, a creative person understands that in order for things to get better, things have to change. Bill Gates is best known for founding Microsoft and for being one of the richest men in the world. But I think his most important contribution to society is his work as a philanthropist through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. See, Bill Gates looked out over the world and he realized there are people living in terrible conditions in this world. Conditions that living here in Canada or for him in Seattle would never dream of. He decided he wanted things to improve, and being a creative person, he knew that in order for things to improve, things have to change. So Bill Gates is a world changer because he embraces change as a function to improve things. Imagination and creativity are vital to world change and to entrepreneurialism. As a society, we're scared of creativity and imagination because we're scared of the unknown. We're scared of failure. But as a society, as a collective group in this room, we need to foster imagination and creativity in our young people so that they can succeed, so that our world can succeed. Do that through 5 ways: through mentorship, collaboration, experimentation, creative thinking, and accepting change. And so I want to challenge you, whether it's this week or this month, who is the young person in your life that you need to mentor, that you need to challenge to think creatively? It's up to us. Thank you guys so much. You have been a great audience, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.